Hello and happy Stamptember! This is Yana Smakula, and today I'm super excited to show you the new Stamptember exclusive collaboration set called Warm and Cozy Wishes by Newton's Nook. The stamp set is available exclusively at Simon Says Stamp while supplies last. So if you like it, go get it now. Otherwise, once it sells out, it will not be restocked. For my today's video, I thought I would show you an easy way to add color to outline images without doing much coloring. I know this sounds kind of controversial, but wait till you see what I have in mind. I will be doing some coloring using my Copic markers, but not a lot, as I know not everyone is into coloring, and I also know that some of you find coloring intimidating. I too kind of find coloring intimidating. So I'm simplifying things a lot for this video while still keeping it fun and beautiful. One of the ways to add color to outline images is to stamp them onto pattern paper. Here I have some pattern paper from one of Simon's kits, and I thought it would work perfectly for some of the images from this set, plus this paper would work really nicely for the background of my card. So look through your stash and see if you have any pattern paper with a small print that would work for the image you're looking to color. I like this yellow sheet with a sunset. I really love the stripes, the sun rays that are radiating from the sun. I thought the sun rays would make for a fun striped pattern for the couch. Here I have my mini MISTI stamping tool, and I'm going to stamp this couch onto this paper. I picked the part of the pattern that I like the most, where the pattern is the smallest, because I really want to have the tiniest, smallest stripes on my couch. And here I have a fun stamped couch that instantly has color and also pattern. So see how easy that was? Now you can leave this image as is. It is already fun and colorful and you have that beautiful pattern, but you can also take it up a notch by adding just a little bit of shading using a coloring medium of your choice, and that could be colored pencils or markers or, I don't know, maybe even some ink blending. Now keep in mind that if you plan to add coloring using Copic markers or alcohol markers, you'll need to stamp your image using the Copic marker friendly ink. Another option to add color to outline images would be to stamp them onto colored cardstock. So instead of coloring the entire image, just stamp the image onto colored cardstock and add a little bit of shading. Here, I stamped the couch onto sunshine yellow cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and I used a few Copic markers to add color. First, I added gray to the legs. I have C7 and C9 markers just to color the legs dark gray. They almost look black. Next, I used Y35 to add shadows to the sections of the couch to help the couch look dimensional. Right now, the couch looks pretty flat, but by adding shading, we help this image look dimensional and we also add interest. Next, I used Y08 and I blended that darker yellow out. Now, because I did my stamping on yellow cardstock, I don't need to color the entire image. I'm just adding shading, and that makes it a lot easier to color and a lot faster too. Now, this is a big image. I'm not coloring the entire thing. I'm just adding color around the edges here and there, helping it appear dimensional. The coloring or the shading is going to look a little bit more subtle in a couple minutes as the ink dries on the paper. Right now, the ink is quite harsh, but give it a few minutes and it will become much softer. Now, I actually have 3 couch options for you here to show you the difference between various coloring methods or between various ways to add color. The one on the left is stamped onto pattern paper and colored lightly. I added just a little bit of shading using Copics. The middle one is stamped onto colored cardstock, and again, there's a little bit of shading added. And then the one is on the right was stamped onto white, and it was completely colored completely from scratch. It is also the one that took the longest to color. I personally like the one that was stamped on colored cardstock and the one that was done on patterned paper. Now, this stamp set also has image of a pillow, and this is also a great one to stamp onto patterned paper. I opted to stamp the pillow onto several sheets of various colors. I have green, indigo, and blue. Now, before making this card, I did settle on a color combo, and the colors I picked were dark blue or indigo, yellow, and then a pop of green. I also stamped a puppy in Memento Tuxedo black ink onto white cardstock. This is the only image that I planned to fully color using Copic markers, and that was because I didn't really want to have any sort of pattern on my puppy, like the type of pattern that you would see on pattern paper, and I also didn't have the color cardstock that I wanted to use here. Next, to color the puppy, I used W3 and W1 warm gray markers to add a little bit of shading. I'm keeping the image of the puppy almost white and just adding a little bit of brown to his ears. Because white isn't all white, there are darker and lighter areas. I'm using the warm gray markers to add that shading, to add a little bit of that darkness to help the other white areas pop. I'm also using E31 and E33 to add brown spots to his ears and to his face, and that just adds a little bit of character to the puppy. This is also a very simple type of coloring, very easy to do, and something that doesn't require a lot of skill or a lot of markers. With the coloring done, I replaced the image in my mini MISTI stamping tool, and I re-stamped the outline using VersaFine ONYX black ink to have a darker black outline. This is just something I love to do when I'm stamping my images. Next, I used scissors and I fussy cut the images. I cut right next to the edge using Simon's new scissors. These are super sharp and perfect to use in our craft room. They work really well for cutting stamped images out, for cutting foam squares or foam tape, or for cutting paper too. So there, the couch is pretty much ready, and look how easy it was. You can get just the stamp set, or you also have the option to get the stamp and coordinating dies combo if you'd like to have the dies to cut the images out. I don't have the dies, so I will be fussy cutting these images, but you definitely can get the dies as well. Now, the indigo paper with the large Mancero leaves was cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and to me, that looks like fabulous wallpaper, and it makes for a great backdrop for the yellow couch. I also have another sheet of pattern paper. This one is much cleaner and lighter, and this is going to work as a carpet in my scene, and is going to help me ground the couch on the card. I also picked the lighter color paper for the bottom part of my card to be able to stamp the sentiment there. I needed something light so that the sentiment would be prominent enough. Next, I stamped the sentiment onto the carpet portion of my card, and here I once again used the same VersaFine ONYX black ink, and the sentiment reads, "Next to you is my favorite place to be." I used foam adhesive squares and foam mounted the images onto the background. I first used regular foam adhesive squares for the couch, and then used thin foam squares for the pillows and the puppy, as I wanted to pop each of these elements up, but I didn't want the card to have too much dimension. I styled the pillows by placing the green pillows in the corners first, then adding the indigo pillows next to them. I had to play with the placement a little bit. I kind of moved them up and down a little bit to make sure that everything fit. And finally, I added the blue pillow in the center. I also added the puppy on top, all snuggled on the comfy couch. Finally, I added a few gems, and that finished this card. So here's a look at this card created with a Stamptember exclusive Warm and Cozy Wishes stamp set from Newton's Nook. If you make a card inspired by this video, we'd love it if you shared your project online and tagged us on social media. We always enjoy seeing what you make. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and happy Stamptember!
I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.